First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my friend's boyfriend she went off birth control? I, 22 female, am in a group chat with two of my friends, who I'll call Lily, 20 female, and Hannah, 21 female. Lily has been dating a guy for a few months now and really likes him, and I'm happy for her. We finally all have boyfriends, and we're planning to have a triple date sometime. But she seems really serious, and had already talked about moving in with him and marrying him. Last night, Lily put in the group chat that she thought she was infertile. I thought this was weird, so I asked why. She told me she had been off birth control and hasn't gotten pregnant yet. I will admit I had a bit of judgment for her trying to start a family after dating the guy for such a short time, but I asked how long the both of them had been trying, as I thought it might just need time. She dropped the fact on me that her boyfriend did not know she was off birth control, and that they had slept together 4 times with him not knowing she was off birth control. After she said this, she again started to talk about how much she loved him and saw a future with him, but said she got off of the birth control due to side effects. I love Lily, but I felt as if I couldn't let this guy keep doing this without knowing, so I told him. Hannah supported my decision, but also felt I should have waited, as we know that Lily lies a lot and could lie to either us or him. Now Lily is mad at me. Her boyfriend is mad at me. She said I lied and he believed her. And I feel as if I might be the a-hole because it isn't my relationship and I should have stayed out of it, knowing that she lies about a lot of things and could have been lying to me and Hannah. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. While it's technically not your place to reveal that kind of thing, it's a good Samaritan act to warn someone when they're being deceived. He doesn't need to know every intimate detail of her life, but when he's being misled into thinking she's on birth control when she isn't, that impacts his life, her life, and potentially any children's lives. If it's no big deal, then she can warn him and let him know. But it's clear she doesn't respect him enough to want to get pregnant because she didn't seek out his cooperation. To add on to this, imagine Lily was fertile and did get pregnant. Then her boyfriend is stuck with a kid or paying child support for the next 18 years. Not an a-hole. Going off your only birth control and not informing your partner is extremely horrible. If her boyfriend chooses to believe her over you and not question the matter further, well, that's his choice, and predictable consequences may follow. Edited to add. Also, maybe a step back from Lily, who has a track record of lying. Not much good comes out of maintaining friendships with those people, and she clearly has no problem throwing you under the bus and lying to her boyfriend. Could you send him screenshots of the convo where she admits to going off birth control? Birth control is something you don't lie about, whether it's about being on it or being off. It's a huge breach of trust, and definitely something I would not be comfortable hiding from someone's significant other. Not an a-hole. What Lily is doing is heinous. Imagine if the tables were switched and he was the one poking holes in the protection. It's called reproductive coercion. You tried to warn him at least, so now it is on him to step up the precautions. Lily is not someone I would want as a friend, so the trash took itself out. It's assault. Not an a-hole. Adobe is morally obligated to let the boyfriend know. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for revealing a child's existence that my sister tried to hide? Little background. My half-sister, let's call her Ellie, and I have different fathers. My mother and her father separated when she was 2 years old, but he always made a great effort to be in her life and support her. My father was around for 10 years, but after he left my mother, he never wanted contact. He paid no child support, and I desperately wished that my father would love me. Now, my sister, 27, and me, 21, usually talk to each other over phone every day. At the beginning of last year, she met a guy and they fell in love. A few months after, it came out that his ex-girlfriend is pregnant by him and that she soon will birth his child. My sister was devastated. We often talked about how she could leave him if that's too much for her, or that she could accept the child and maybe it would turn out good. She decided to stay with him. But after the baby was born, she told me that he didn't want to pay child support and that he tried to pressure the mother of his child not to try getting money from him. Also, she doesn't want him to see the child and wants him to move with her very far away from this child. I was shocked with how she behaved. I mean, I didn't expect much from him, but she saw firsthand how cruel it can be for someone to feel like they're not wanted by their father. I told her that I don't find it okay the way they handled this, and she just cut me off. We had 4 months no contact, and she felt like I owe her an apology for getting into her business. which I refused. She never told me that she didn't tell our family, except our mom, anything about this child, but I slowly realized it. Yesterday, my grandparents called me and told me that Ellie acted weird, that she doesn't call anymore, and if they talk, she behaves weird. They asked her directly what was going on, but she didn't answer them. They were super weird, and I tried to escape the situation by telling them that Ellie is fine. They didn't believe me and asked me why I'd lie. I didn't feel comfortable, but then I told them that we don't speak to each other, how disappointed I am, and how they treat this child. My grandparents were super angry that they got lied to over months from her, and how they both treat this child. They stopped their financial support for her and are pretty furious. My sister called me and said that I destroyed her life because now she looks bad in front of our family. I'm really unsure if I was the a-hole in this situation. Not an a-hole. She looks bad because she supported the a-hole. Maybe it wasn't your business, but oh well, I'd have done the same thing. It's only fair to be honest. Also, what does she think? That if they have a child and for some reason split up, he won't do the same to her? Hijacking top comment. Maybe reading a little too much between the lines. But maybe Ellie is not okay? Her boyfriend seems like the real a-hole for sure, but maybe he's also an abuser and controlling Ellie? She never even asked you to lie to them. Not an a-hole. My sister called me and said that I destroyed her life because now she looks bad in front of our family. That's just the consequences of her actions. Not an a-hole. She doesn't look bad. She's a toxic hypocrite. She wants to pretend the child doesn't exist. Both she and the father of the child don't want to provide support to a newborn. She's a 27-year-old adult. If she thinks a child that can't even walk doesn't deserve support, why should she get financial support from your grandparents? She ruined her life herself. Actions have consequences, even outside of the law. She knew how the family would react. Not an a-hole. Your sister is 27 and receives financial support from her grandparents? Your sister is not the greatest. Her wonderful boyfriend has given her a preview as to how it will be if they split as parents. So I guess your sister is not that smart either. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling someone not to have a baby in their late 40s even though I did? I had unknown fertility issues. So after a few years, my husband and I stopped trying but decided not to use any kind of birth control. I ended up having my first spontaneous pregnancy at 45 years old and had my first and only child at 46. The doctor told me I had polycystic ovarian syndrome and said that it was common for women like me to have the problem almost fix itself closer to menopause, which is probably how it happened. We kept our child out of emotion. Yes, we were financially fine to do it and everything, but it was all about emotion. My cousin who got married at 40 is now looking into having kids and is starting to pursue treatment. She asked me what it was like and all of these questions, so I honestly told her that while I love my child more than anything and I wouldn't choose for her to not exist, I wouldn't have chosen to do this or forced it to happen. Why? It was not fun. I love my child and finally having the family I always wanted, but 46 is far, far too late to have a baby, and I wish someone had been honest with me when it was my time. I had so much extra testing and had to take so many precautions. My husband and I are now 58 years old, dealing with middle school registration and what to do with schooling options. I had to fill out kindergarten paperwork on the same day that we got our AARP cards. I have to obsessively dye my hair and keep up on makeup and fashion trends, so my child's peers and other parents won't stare at us the way that people stared at older parents when I was a child. And I know that logically they weren't as old as we are. I have to constantly do research to make sure I'm prepared for this generation's challenges, and I'm not making my child look behind or outdated. My ordinarily healthy husband had a heart attack 2 years ago, and with that, family history and the world today, we have to be genuinely afraid that we will die before our child is 18. I have to have very firm plans on who exactly could immediately take our child in if needed. We can't have maybe like younger parents. We have had to prepare my middle schooler for these possibilities in as much of a child-friendly way as possible, and a written list of who to call, in what order, and a sample script of what to say. I have nobody that can help me with any of this because everyone I actually know had their kids in a completely different time. It's so many extra concerns and worries that how much extra money you have doesn't really make up for it as much as you would think. Once again, I love my child more than life itself, but it is not as easy as, you can do it anytime. It's just like becoming a parent at any other time. Now she's mad at me for not being supportive and people think I regret my child. I'm not. I love her. I'm just saying that there's a difference and that there are things to consider besides the emotion, especially when it's a very deliberate choice versus nature. Am I the a-hole for telling her this? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She asked, you answered. And may I just say, as I sit here at age 44, 20 weeks pregnant with my second child, you have scared the ever-loving daylights out of me. It's a lot different when it's common in your family and/or you have other children. I would be much less scared if my daughter had an older sibling and/or cousins of her own. Not the a-hole. You answered the wrong question. You took it at face value and told her the truth. The real question was, there is no question. Tell me sweet, sweet lies that validate my decisions. A lot of people told us the lies, but mostly it was just oversimplified because they wouldn't and couldn't know what the reality would be. We already had the emotions of, it's happening right now, and pregnancy hormones, so it would have changed a lot less than someone who was still planning it out. But there is never a perfect time to have a child. You can have a baby in your early 20s, when you are starting out with massive amounts of college debt and impossible job markets. You can have a baby in your 30s, when your career demands all of your time and attention. You can have a baby in your 40s, when your energy and abilities aren't what they used to be. Wanting to dye your hair and research trends shouldn't be something that you use to discourage someone from having a family. And unfortunately, health can fail you at any time. Your cousin asked you and you gave her an honest answer, so not an a-hole. But I don't believe there is ever a perfect time to start a family. Life is inconvenient. There are a lot of deeper issues that I touched on. I also left out due to the word count that my husband and I won't be able to retire because we will be in our 60s by the time she graduates high school, and we do need to help her through college. But I thought that would be implied due to our ages a little bit. College isn't really a requirement, but since she's an only child who will be orphaned very young, we feel we owe it to her to give her the best start possible. There's also major generational gaps in that. Plus, being an only child means that she will be far more alone than a typical child of people who had multiple kids in their 20s to 30s. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling niece I prefer my real name to a nickname? My youngest niece, Raven, recently entered 2nd grade and was filling out an identity and names worksheet. It was pretty much about family members. You talk to 3 family/friends about their identity. Raven asked to call me on Skype and talk about her worksheet. She asked if I had kids, what I did for a job, etc. At the very end, she said, I already knew this question. I've filled it out when we first started. I asked her what the question was. She said, your name is Whirly. I tell everyone my aunt has a cool name. I told her, nicely, that my name is actually Winona and she is the only one who calls me Whirly, minus my sister. And my sister only calls me Whirly when talking about me to Raven. Raven got confused, and I said, when you were little, you could not pronounce Winona and said Whirly instead. Your mom thought it was so cute. Raven asked if everyone calls me Whirly, because it was so cute. I told her honestly, everyone calls me Winona, including the other nephews, because I don't use a nickname outside of Winnie. Everyone I know calls me Winona, just like everyone calls you Raven. My niece finished her homework, talked about her school day, and we said goodbye. The next day, my sister called me in a fit of rage, saying I ruined her daughter's whole night because she called me Aunt Winona instead of Whirly. My sister then explained that when Raven called Uncle Top, my brother Christopher, she asked him, do you like being called Uncle Top? And when he said, actually, if you want to know, I go by Chris. So now Raven is upset the other adults have told her they dislike the nicknames. And while I thought it was cute when she was little, I kind of hated the nickname. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. All you did was tell her your real name. So did her uncle. Raven had to learn eventually. I imagine it comes down to her sister choosing not to use her siblings' actual names because she thought her daughter's nicknames were so cute and kept it going long after. She's basically taught her wrong for her own entertainment. Not the a-hole. Your sister seems to be the problem, not Raven. The kid probably just registered the name change and asked the next one, and that is it. I doubt the kid had a meltdown or anything about the name. You can even tell Raven that Winona is a pretty cool name too. It's not that common, and there are famous people that share your name. I love my name. I love being Aunt Winona. not at a-hole. I understand children have a hard time pronouncing things, but as they get older, it's okay to set boundaries with preferred names and pronouns, etc. I don't think you did anything wrong. You just gave her your preference and prepared her for the real world. I felt like that was part of the reason her homework existed. I know a lot of kids don't know their parents' real names outside of mom and dad. I am not a huge fan of nicknames. I had issues when I was little with people calling me sweetie or honey. I would always tell them it's Winona. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.